everyone, I'm Haley. Welcome back to What the Film School. I know it has been so long since I posted on here, but I'm back now. I'm going to be posting once a week, every week, a little bit more consistently. So you're going to see a new video from me every Sunday starting now. If you can't already tell from the video of this title, unfortunately we're going to be kind of talking about a little bit more of a serious topic today. It's going to be about rejection. I recently got rejected from something. I want to talk to you guys about how I dealt with it, how you guys can deal with it, and hopefully it helps you if you're dealing with any kind of rejection at the moment. I really hate to say this, but rejection is kind of a part of life. Especially in this industry, you're probably going to face rejection at some point, whether that's getting rejected from film school, whether that's getting rejected from a job or an internship that you really like. We all go through it, and I think part of the reason why I want to talk about this today is because not a lot of people are as open about things that they get rejected from. Most people, obviously on Facebook and on Instagram and whatnot, will post when they get accepted into something, when they get a new job or something really good happens, but we don't always talk about the bad. What really sparked this for me is that a couple months ago, actually this year, I had applied to this Adobe residency program, and it would have been a 12-month-long residency where Adobe would have basically funded me or supported me and allowed me to work on my film course that I've been doing for a little while. And the application wasn't too difficult for me, so I basically wrote like a couple pages about myself, about the project, and what I wanted to do if I were to become a resident for Adobe. And I submitted that off to them with some work samples, and they said it was going to take months and months to get back. And so, you know, that's always the most frustrating thing about applying to stuff, is that generally it's not like an instant thing. It takes a while, or if they never tell you what's going to happen, then you're just sitting, waiting, wondering, did they even get my application? Did it go through? Did anything fail? What happened? Why? So there's all these things that, you know, can stress you out when you're applying to something. So that's like the initial spark of it. And the second aspect of it is just that feeling, that impending doom kind of. It's like, I want to know if it's good news, but do I really want to know if it's bad news? But actually just a couple weeks ago, I got the email that said, thanks, but no thanks. We don't have a position for you at this time. Apply again next year, you know, all that usual stuff. While in the moment when I kind of read it, I was upset because I realized, you know, this was something I really wanted and I didn't get it, and that's kind of out of my control. There were just a few steps that I went through with myself internally to kind of recover from it, and so that's what I'm going to share with you guys right now. First and foremost, I'm going to kind of call this step 0, which is going to be when you apply to something, and hopefully this doesn't sound too pessimistic, but this is just kind of the way that I put myself in, like the mindset I put myself into to prepare for something, is that if you kind of put a lot of stock into something, or you ride your hopes too high on one particular thing. Let's say you really wanted to get into a particular film school and you say, you know, life can't go on if I don't get into that. That's just putting so much pressure onto that one thing. So what I always tell myself is, hope for the best, but expect the worst. You're still keeping your hopes up, right? You're not going to be completely one way where you're too hopeful or you're too negative about the outcome. You're not spending your time sitting thinking, you know, all these things could go wrong, like I'm never going to get it, la la la. You're just saying, hey, I'm really excited about this and I'm hopeful, but I'm also still kind of keeping myself in check. So aside from that, the other first thing that you should do if you're going to be getting some kind of response or some kind of letter or email back from any job or internship or whatever it might be that you've applied to, make sure that when you're receiving that, you are putting yourself into a good headspace, that you are going to kind of give yourself time to process that by yourself. So when I received my rejection email, I was actually all by myself. I was at work, I think I was on my lunch break. I took some time, I stepped away into a private area and I read the email, and it was something that I'm glad that I did, because it gave me a moment to kind of think through everything that I was feeling. And this might not work for you. Maybe you want to be around people when you read a letter, you know, especially if it's going to be good news. It's not always going to be rejections. It just kind of helps me to be by myself and kind of think it through first. The second thing that I did was remind myself that I'm still good at what I do. When you're sending out something that is so creative or so personal, especially again, if it's a job application and you're writing, you know, a cover letter that's all about your work experience and everything you've done, it can feel kind of crushing when you get rejected and it kind of feels like they're rejecting me. They don't like me, they don't like my work. That's how it feels. But again, this is not the case. It does not mean that you're bad. It does not mean that anything's wrong with you. It just means that either the person who was, again, looking at your application maybe didn't see your vision, maybe they just didn't click with it. You know, there could be any host of reasons. I've said this in a previous video before. You might be at a different stage in your life working on something completely different than somebody else above you, and there's always going to be people who have more experience than you. Maybe they just do something a little bit differently that just happens to work. I personally really tried to remind myself, like, hey, I still love what I do, and this isn't gonna make me give up on it. It just makes me want to get better, do better, and hopefully apply again next year. Maybe I need to refine something on my application more, get more help on it. There's just all these things that you can do to put yourself in a more positive headspace than a more negative one, which is thinking like, I'm no good, I'm done, that was it, that's all I cared about. Just because one person or one entity doesn't accept you doesn't mean that you're doomed for failure. Going off with this, the third thing that I did for myself was list all the positive things that have happened to me in life. And I know that kind of sounds a little funny, but it actually does really help. So I say like, maybe I got rejected from this, but a few months ago I got accepted into this, or I got this job offer, or you know, this happened and that happened. Listing those things and feeling like you've got good things going for you and that you still have this passion inside of you, that again is really going to help you put yourself into a more happy mindset. And then the fourth thing that I like to do too is that after I receive some bad news and I've had some time to myself about it, I like to text my friends and my family and tell them, you know, what happened. And getting that kind of outside, you know, consolation basically from people is also really helpful. And another point to add on to that for myself as well is that I felt like, you know, even though I didn't get this thing that I wanted, maybe this wasn't the time to get it. You know, maybe this wasn't my path, this wasn't my calling, this isn't what I was supposed to be doing. So in a way, that's also kind of comforting to think like, you know, there's going to be something else out there that I do get. So there's something over the horizon that maybe I should have gotten that I need to get that isn't this particular opportunity. Let me know in the comments if you're dealing with anything at the moment, if you happen to have any tips for if you get any kind of rejections, or also on a positive note, if you have any tips for being excited about things. I don't know if that exists, if tips like that happen to exist, but share them with me. Let me know some good news. Let's put some good news in the comments too. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification, because remember, now I'm going to be posting on every Sunday. And that's all for today. Don't forget to check out my social media, filmcourse.org. All that stuff is going to be down in the description. I'll see you guys again soon.